What's happening? Benton here. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall continue to follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the most super intelligent power, source, and force of love and creation forever. Benton here, broadcasting live from I-95 in Virginia, headed up to Massachusetts. Just left two different truck stops. The Loves, everybody loves, was a complete and total clusterfuck, as I expected it to be. But since I'm headed up to the Boston area, there's not always a convenient place to get fuel depending on where they send me next. So probably I'm going across New York, upstate New York, which would not be a problem. But better safe than sorry, and we needed to weigh the load, the royal we. Reminds me of an out-of-context joke, the royal we. And reminds me of relationship or friendship or lack thereof. You know, presumably, I don't know if this person listens to these streams or not on a regular basis. Don't know. But there's somebody I've seen over on a different YouTube channel, Millennial Steam. I'm a fan. Now, whether that person, you know, maybe read some of my comments on that channel and perhaps clicked my little icon and found this channel and then listened to some of my discoursing, don't know. But I heard enough to at least hear me say the royal we in a context. And then here I am in a saying hello in a Millennial Steam live chat, and the person types, "It's the royal we in the flesh." An out of context joke, right? Too cool for school. We all got to be too cool for school, you know. And confusing the content creator who has no idea what that reference means. None whatsoever. Just things that I think about and notice. The chaos of this dead world. A dead world called living. Call it alive all you want. Doesn't change a thing. Changes nothing. Well, I'm thirsty. Is there water? Perhaps. Also, a reminder that these folks out here on the roads will watch anything. People at the roads, the stores, the truck stop. I had to turn the light on yesterday morning, which was really nighttime driving. And, driving in the mountains of Virginia. And I look over and there's two fellas in a pickup truck hanging out beside me, watching me root around in the floor of the tractor, just watching me like I'm TV. Just fascinated. Watching the show. And something about that struggle as I was struggling to locate an item on the floor of the truck. People love to see each other struggle. There's just something about it that's very appealing for whatever reason. Got to the truck stop yesterday, and some old, not old, but a ran through by the system, Stockholm Syndrome, probably an owner-operator based on the look of him and the look of the truck. And it's these angled parking spots, and, I'm retarded on the backing anyway. When it comes to backing into a space, I'm already, Benton's retarded. And just from the way I set up to start backing up, here he is jumping out of his truck. I mean, all I did was pull up and stop. He immediately, this amorphous blobs out of his truck. Because I've already deviated from the norm, just because of how I pulled up. And so now he feels like he's got to make himself known, present himself to the situation. Meanwhile, I've been driving around the lot for 5 minutes to find that spot. Because the truck stop's filling up, but plenty of reserve spots. Meanwhile, this guy's in a reserve spot. I don't know. Maybe he's retarded with the backing. Presumably he could have gotten in the free spot I'm about to back into, but maybe somebody just left. I don't know. It's possible. He's just going to stand there and watch me. It's fair enough. I know how to ignore people. Then, of course, he waits until, oh my God, a trucker's getting out to look. Oh no, don't do that. Don't climb out of the truck to look at where you're backing into to make sure you don't hit anything. Meanwhile, in truck driving school and in company training, all they do all day long is say, get out and look, get out and look, get out and look, get out and look. Because they don't want anybody crashing into anything that the company's going to have to pay for. And then some trucker's going to be angry, especially if he's an owner-operator. Also, my last truck, the one that the engine blew up, somebody put a sticker on the fucking mirror that says GOAL, get out and look. But I've committed 2 cardinal sins already just by trying to drive a big rig and live in a truck. I've pulled up incorrectly, meaning I've pulled up in a different, my setup is different than 9 out of 10 truckers because Benton's a retard. And retards, here's how you know a person's a retard. You can tell a retard till you're blue in the face. A retard can watch videos. They can study theory. You can indoctrinate them till the cows come home. They still can't pull up and back into a spot correctly because they're fucking retards. I'm talking about myself here. You can tell them whatever you want. You can intervene. You can do anything you want, and they're still retarded. There's no changing the change. He's as good at it as he's ever going to be. And he's never not going to be retarded at it. And that's completely fine and should be or could be tolerated by the people around him. Meanwhile, because the general public doesn't have hypervigilance and is not careful and attentive, well, we know that the major motivation is that this guy doesn't want me hitting his truck with my truck. Because he's in no danger of me hitting his truck with my trailer. But if I'm incompetent, if I'm an incompetent, wet behind the rear ears rookie, I might hit his truck with my truck, except I don't hit trucks with my truck because I can see his truck, I can see my truck, and the retardation doesn't play a part in if I hit anything with the tractor or not. See? And his brain can't reconcile these two things. Because I have to be a rookie because only rookies pull up like that. Well, that's not true. What about a retard that's been working as a long haul trucker off and on for 7 years? but he's a retard, and nobody can ever unring the retard bell. There's nothing anybody can do whatsoever to make a retard not be a retard. And I told him this because, of course, after I got out to look for the second time, now he has to pipe up. Now he wants to start giving advice, telling me how to do things. I said, hey man. Please don't help. And then I said, I said, and I don't remember what I say in the moment. I'm so charming and affable, it's hard to remember. It just comes naturally. It's reflexive. It's, a cult brainwashed me to be able to interact with people in these ways. A cult. And I said, it turns out I'm retarded on the backing. And of course, now we have to bond, see? Oh, well, aren't we all? Well, if we were all, no. Clearly not, sir. But okay, I'll accept your premise. Actually, I'll just keep going. I said, and there's nothing anybody can say to a retard to make them less of a retard. And then, of course, he wants to go on and repeat what he was telling me. Oh, I'm just trying to tell you you can pull into this space. Like, oh yeah, understood, sir. However, you're speaking to a retard, and there's nothing anybody can say to a retard that will make them less of a retard. Now, yeah, I might be capable of noticing what you're commenting on, but it can't sink into my retarded brain until I've realized it. And then, oh, surprise, surprise, I've gotten into the part of the process where I'm now going to pull up into the area where you've helpfully attempted to instruct me to pull up into. Meanwhile, my retarded brain doesn't process data in that way. Because if my retarded brain could process data the same way as these bozos who know how to set up properly, then I could set up and not even, because what if the entire truck stop is full? Guess what? That means there's no space there. So the setup he would do, and 9 out of 10 truckers would do, would be based on there's no space up there. Well, I've set up, it turns out I've actually set up based on the entirety of the available space, and just surprise, surprise, I just sort of intuitively know that space just happens to be there when I need it. Isn't that fucking amazing? Almost as if my brain operates on levels that his brain doesn't operate. Right. But thank you for attempting to help, which only makes the process take longer. And then, of course, another guy in a truck appears out of nowhere to beep his horn and act like he's inconvenienced by the whole thing. Meanwhile, he's going the wrong way. He's waiting to go the wrong way, if he's looking for a free spot anyway, or if he's pulling into the reserve spots, he can actually just go around the back and pull in forward. He doesn't even need to back up. Or if he's going anywhere else on the property, he can continue forward instead of making a left turn into my area, or he can back up and go back the way he came. So he's actually artificially indignant and inconvenienced. There's no reason for him to be there whatsoever, other than he's freely choosing. And then, this does speak to the artificiality and the waking dream, surrealistic unreality, deja vu all over again of the realm. Like this, no, this isn't real. In fact, on some level, this is a performance being given for my benefit. It's just people with nothing. It's NPCs waiting for something to interact with. Oh, look, here's something to interact with. And to wait to be interacted with, the NPC just patiently sitting there, right? The guy patiently sitting there, behaving as if he's indignant, waiting to see if I will react, right? Waiting for a stimulus, or providing stimulus and waiting for a response. Either way, these are not intelligent thinking organisms, and these are not real in the way that what I am is real. Now, maybe they are possessed of Nancy Pelosi's MS-13 spark of divinity, perhaps, but you could have fooled me. You could have fooled me. coffee time. Oh, we're dropping the mic. Not in a good way. Of course we are. Because why would all of this be, why would all of this be able to be done? Okay. I implore you. Think you're going to drink coffee and hold the microphone? How silly of you. And drive a big rig? What is wrong with you, sir? Now you can't see the hill, so you've accidentally slowed down to the bottom of the hill, and now you're going 45 miles an hour in a big rig trying to burn. Is that the life you want to live, sir? I think that microphone is probably lost in the sauce. Bear with me now, many things are happening. Nothing Benton can do except wait patiently. That microphone go. And amazing the capacity for something that falls onto the floor of a vehicle. It can go anywhere. There's no limit to where it can travel to. Thus proving that physics don't actually operate the way that we've been. Oh, I've dropped it twice. I picked it up, dropped it again. Amazing. You think you're gonna clip a microphone onto your lapel with one hand, sir, while driving a big rig and holding a flashlight? Surely you jest. Surely you jest, and the realm laughs and loves the struggle, and that's part of the secret of this realm is it has a sense of humor, and part of the humor is in watching struggle and participating and inducing, all aboard the struggle bus. And when the being comes to understand these things, acceptance becomes more possible. You just say, oh yeah, this is the way it is. Thank you, Mr. Hornsby. And you're out on the range there, Bruce Hornsby in the range. Yes, you're right. That's just the way it is, and some things will never change. This world loves a good struggle because it makes an enemy of what I am, and what I am can never create a struggle or even participate in a struggle. Only within the delusion of a world of death and a game of lies. See? Only in that context. Christ's story in some way is you must take all beatings. And that's not true exactly, but it's to judo the inverted realm that seeks to judo, that makes an enemy of what I am and says, hey, we're going to take assertion, we'll take creation, and we'll take this performance and just judo it, use its own momentum against it. Well, to judo the judo is to make the sign of the cross when the jackbooted oppressor thugs show up and say, hey man, if you keep preaching, teaching, and healing, the state's going to deal with you. And Christ making the sign of the cross and saying, well, nothing's going to change there, so do with me as you will. If you're gonna kill me, go ahead and do it. You might as well do it now. And then maybe the soldiers ran him through with their swords right then and there. Who knows? I can't call it. It's a delusion. It's within the context of delusion either way. Demons do your worst. So yeah, you know, you think you're going to scale your load and get fuel at the Loves? Well, how are you going to get off the property, sir? How are you going to start your driving shift? Because now there's 50 truckers all right there on a way too small truck stop at 2 in the morning. They've all arrived simultaneously. How you going to get out of here? You're going to back out into the road, I guess. Make enough space to go forward and to do a U-turn. And pass position has arrived, the surgeon has arrived, and now the environment, there's a catalyst for the environment. See, now the environment can spring to life because the environment is dead. It's a dead environment. So Benton's here to perform. Now the environment can spring to life. Just like in the case of yesterday. The environment had all the time in the world for Benton to drive around looking for a spot, and in fact pass the spot and have to come back, loop back around. Oh, it's got all the time in the world. It's patiently waiting. Oh, now we've got him. He's here. He is. He's the catalyst. He's the performer. Now we can act. Now we can respond to stimulus, says the environment. So to invert the inversion is to say, well, okay, I'll follow the Christ example and judo the judo and take all beatings. Okay, well, like I told the fellow when I was so fatigued, half the problem with me failing to back in at that dock was my own lack of skill, and then in conjunction with fatigue. As I look back on it now, because yesterday's back was quite easy, and it took me way longer than it should have because of exhaustion and fatigue. And yet another bozo attempted to help me because, oh my God, he's committing the cardinal sin of getting out and looking. Oh man. And I politely tell him, please don't try to help. It just makes it take longer. But I do appreciate the spirit of what you're on about here. Thank you for that, sir. Now, creepy truckers creeping up on us. You can trust an owner-operator to creep up. 2 of them creeping up. They love to creep up. They can't creep up once I go 47 with the flashers on, though. That exposes their creeping. Meanwhile, it's 4 lanes, and there's just all sorts of opportunity to continue on about their day. Somewhat hilariously, the one is tailgating the other one with no other traffic around. Now here comes another one to join the party. Say, they're making a convoy. I'll just drive slow. I'll judo the inverted realm, because that's at a certain point, heavily laden, can't get up these hills hardly. Traffic thinks it's got me hemmed in. Well, what if I go 45 with the flashers on? What's it going to do then? What does it do then? Force its hand. Then slowing down is kind of like speeding up, because I can't speed up and get away. I can slow down. I can go slower than they're willing to go. So that I'll judo them. Then they'll get away from me. If I can't escape, I'll push them away. Push them on down the road. And if the load's late, the load's late. Because keep America moving, and that's what's most important, is to produce so rich people can get richer every new moment into perpetuity, and that is the function of the economy. And it never fails to achieve its purpose. in the rear with the gear. Now we got one just hanging out. I don't know why he's hanging out. Why is he hanging out? I don't know. He doesn't know. He's just hanging out. 55 miles an hour, 4 lanes. Some bozo in a white van just hanging out right there in my mirror. What's he doing? I guess he's watching my face. I don't know. I am talking. After all, I'm doing something. They will watch anything. Doesn't matter what it is. They will watch it. And that's the same person that will act like I'm inconveniencing them because they're in a big fat hurry, but they've got unlimited time to ride in my mirror at 55 miles an hour on a wide open road. Unlimited time. The same person. And that's the same person who will, might get into a conversation with me at the truck stop and say, okay, be safe. And when he says that, I know, well, that's the same person who will ride in my mirror right beside me at 55 miles an hour and look at my face, which is the opposite of safe. Same person. Same white van. And that's this system of things that I'm supposed to toil for and contribute to and pull myself up by my bootstraps and be the change I want to see in the world. It's kind of like when I used to travel around the country living out of a backpack every once in a while before I knew any better, because later on I figured out not to do this, but I'd let somebody not even kidnap me. People would try to adopt me because they were lonely and they had, their own problems. And I might want to hang out and rest for a couple of days, so I'd hang out. These are always the people who have to have the loud television on 24 hours a day, even when they're sleeping. It's a particular type of person. And maybe I used to be that type of person. I don't know. It's possible. Earlier iterations of Benton perhaps could have been that. It's possible. Many, many, many moons ago. And eventually they, perhaps sensing my own not being in love with the television or the idea of the television, they want to toss me the remote, say, here, you find something. I say, don't. I say, if you throw that at me, I'm turning it off. And of course that's not an option for them, so they keep the remote because I don't want it. I've already forgotten why I brought that up, but probably to make the point that if you want me to be the decider, I'll just turn the whole fucking thing off. Oh, yeah, the world. Oh, you want to talk about bootstrapping and producing and, yada, yada, yada society. Well, you leave it up to me. I might turn the whole motherfucker off. Say, shit, shut out the lights, man. What even is this? Well, the 50 truckers showing up seemingly out of nowhere to try to hem up old Benton. Well, it don't amount to a hill of beans if old Benton accepts it at the level of spiritual attack and expects it to expect the accepted, right? And to nonplussed and unbothered, and whatever maneuverings needs to happen. And eventually I see these trucks. There's a few companies out there I've noticed that all this bullshit aero cladding on these trucks. There's a couple of companies that just take all that bullshit off. Like these fairings. Part of that is I saw one fella, probably maybe another actual real, what I am. Maybe there was 2 of us there. The spirit in the flesh. The dead flesh. he was doing some crazy ass U-turn because his truck didn't have none of that bullshit on it. I can't go past 90 degrees on my U-turns, or it tears up these fairings. And there's a certain appeal to that. Why have a bunch of bullshit cladding around the fuel tanks? What is all this? Oh, well, fuel economy. Bullshit. Bullshit. Call them bullshit. Anybody remember them trailer tails used to be a thing? They put these wings. Some bozo with an MBA somewhere figured out how to earn his retirement selling all these fucking aluminum wings to make the trucker's life hard. I never had to deal with those, fortunately, but that bullshit's gone. Everybody finally figured out that doesn't make a damn bit of difference. This truck's got covers on the wheels. Like, that's like, really? We're saving fuel. Now, yeah, if the huge companies, maybe it makes a difference. But what about when the trucker might have otherwise put air in the motherfucking low tire? Except now, they're already annoyed with the job. They're already asked to do way too much bullshit, and now, they know they might need to put air in the tire, but it's got this fucking Captain America's shield is in the way, right? We're like, fuck this, and the damn tire, the drive tire ends up tearing up from underinflation way earlier than normal, or you got to call out $1,000 to call out the fucking wrecker or whatever, right? Because we're trying to save pennies on fuel. Does it make any fucking sense? In what world does that? It just doesn't. And so it's here to torture. It's here so that the trucker can struggle with it. Right? It's here so that the realm can point and laugh and go, ha ha, and watch the struggle. And other beings and NPCs can watch the struggle. Look at him struggling. Pull up a chair and watch the struggle. All aboard the struggle bus. Yeah, fair enough. Because what I am can't be bothered about any of that. Have you considered my servant Job? Well, if air quote so-called God is what he claims to be, then why didn't he offer himself up? Say, hey, I'm right here. Oh, okay. What's good for the goose ain't good for the gander, I guess. Or what's good for the gander ain't good for the goose. What is this? Air quote, so-called God. You offering up Job. Why don't you offer up yourself, partner? Well, if that's the spirit of what I am, it's already been offered up. It's already been tested. And of course, it can't fail the test. So, hey. So there's antithesis looking at thesis saying, well, you can't fail the test. So here, let's subvert some of that creative force and create this here delusion. Already, baby, says the Lord. Already, baby. The sons of God, you came with the sons of God and present yourselves unto me. So clearly we're already in the delusion, the royal we. Clearly the delusion's already happened, so the subversion's already happened. So what are you on about, Satan? Oh, yeah, you're right. My bad. How silly of me. And when Benton can have these sorts of conversations with himself in his own head, what need does he have of I won't say you, of what need is there of others? Let's see. Hashtag GOML. And beyond. Get on my level and beyond. Imagine coming here and fucking around on the low levels for such an extended period of time. See, that's the part of the struggle old Benton likes to laugh at. Look at these bozos going through all of this pain and strife and anxiety and fear and guilt and shame, and they're just going to hang out on the low levels And even me pointing that out, in fact, all they're going to do is experience more fear, guilt, shame, and repression. Right. And then Benton thinks that's funny, because all Benton, the dead flesh, Benton psychology, a product of this realm. Well, it's got the same sense of humor on some level as the realm. In the world, not of the world. They don't even know what this is. Yeah, Christians, be in the world, not of the world. You don't even know what this is, Christian. And I'm not talking to the listener. The proverbial Christian, if they don't know what this is, how are they going to be in the world, not of the world? It doesn't even make sense. That does not compute. Again, more mockery, more ridicule. The realm has a sense of humor indeed. Marine Corps Base Quantico, says the exit. We're coming up on DC, or the Beltway, at least 22 miles to the Beltway. Luckily, we're doing this before rush hour, but there's still plenty of time to hit traffic. We'll probably still be hanging around Boston late enough to we'll hit both rush hours. You know, why only experience one when you can hit both? A little bit of that lunch rush too. Why not? And of course, there wasn't time to really properly adjust the tandems, so we're unbalanced. We got too much weight on the drives, so we can't hardly get up these hills. Not as good as we could if the load was a little more balanced, but certainly wasn't going to attempt to slide the tandems yet again and reweigh. That wasn't in the cards. We could guess at this point, but who cares? Ain't that big of a deal. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Tried to see if they'd tap me out, let me tap out yesterday. Called the owner, had him call me and told him I was wore out. He's like, yeah, that's all fine and good, sir. Meanwhile, he don't know me yet. He doesn't understand that for me to even speak those words is that means something. That has he's not able to assign the proper meaning to that, certainly. Me even admitting to fatigue or exhaustion, that's something. And so, well, that's all fine and good, but you're about 40 minutes from the pickup, and then that's going to take you 550 miles, and then you're going to pick up at one of our dedicated customers, and then that's going to Denver, and that's going to get you through. Because of the holiday, everything's going to be shutting down, so that's going to get you through to Monday. So I said, okay. Okie doke. Which is fine because, we'll see what happens. Later on when I'm in, depending on what the traffic does to me, we'll just, whatever happens, happens. We'll see. Thankfully, I'm a skilled enough driver. I can be trusted to not put him out of business because of being exhausted. I can still somehow be alert and drive safely. Isn't that amazing? Gaslight away. oh, well, Benton, if you would just look at it this way, and if you would just do this and do that, or if you had just done this and done that, then blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, or what if I had never been born and things would be exactly as they are? 99.9% of everything will be exactly like it is. So what's the fucking difference? That destroys their arguments. I wish they'd just say what they mean. Hey, why don't you shut the fuck up? That's really what that's the message that's being conveyed. Hey, Benton, why don't you shut the fuck up? And that I would respect. Okay, fair enough. Now I won't shut up, but unless I want to or choose to. Manassas, man asses, man ass as, man as ass. These guys want to talk shit about women. Yeah, it's one thing, fellas. Have you ever paused long enough to contemplate the ridiculousness of performing as a man in this place? Just the abject, just how appallingly ridiculous that notion is. It's absurd on its face. I mean, it really is. Just absurd. Honor. Is you crazy? Honor. Anything to get on her. Honor. Probably could have slept at the shipper yesterday, but there's just a surprise, it's yet another load where it's just enough, Now, thankfully, I'm able to make the delivery, but on time. But it's a 1 day load, and it basically, takes the full clock. So just to shave, maybe 45 minutes off, to get 45 minutes of drive time back, I went ahead and drove to a truck stop, which wasn't even technically in the correct direction, but still knocked a little time off the GPS. And of course, then everybody wants to try to call me when I'm 5 miles from the truck stop. Like, hey, I'll happily talk to you once I get up here and get parked, but guess it wasn't important. They never called back. I'm not the flow of traffic, folks. I'm a big rig who this is the speed I can go. You have a pedal that if you push on, little car, that little pedal of yours, if you push on it, will get you on down the road. I can put mine to the floor right now. I won't go anywhere. Thank you for normalizing slow big rigs up hills. Be safe. Yeah, it's real safe riding in the blind spot of a tractor. Oh, that's right. Half of them wants to call the injury lawyer. I forgot. it's such a wonderful, fulfilling, rewarding world and life that there's people who are intentionally trying to get run over by big rigs. And that's just going to get worse, and it's already gotten worse. But I actually had somebody try to pull a half-ass old school swooping squat on me the other day, if y'all know what that is. That was like the original scam, and it's half the reason why most of these rigs have dash cams now. The old school swoop and squat. I had someone try to pull a half-ass one of those. I was like, really? Seriously? This is what it's come to? And in fact, a lot of people do that. Change lanes in front, pass me, change lanes in front of me, and then start braking. It's like, all right, well, okay. I'll just slow down to keep America moving, because we've all agreed in the vacuous, delusory, adversarial realm of business transactions, there's nothing more important than the economic might of the nation and being productive and capitalism. So yes, let's drive in such a way that the only safe maneuver is for me to slow down repeatedly while I'm attempting to convey the freight from point A to point B, which is a big portion of how all of business works. Like, what percentage of all fucking commerce is based on, at some point, the freight's in the damn trailer getting hauled from to and fro here and there. So let's drive our automobiles and slow that process down repeatedly, because we care. That's what we're here to do, facilitate. Hey, we're all in this together. Be safe and keep America moving. And without truckers, America doesn't move. America's dead. It doesn't move. Dead. What is living is moving, and it's in motion. It's in flow. This world's dead. This world contains no motion. It's animated motion warmed over. There's no inert. It's not moving. And you get into illusion. It appears to be moving. It's not. It's not moving. Oh, 55. Okay. No wonder we're slowing down. Hell, if they pulled me over to give me a ticket at this point, I might thank them and say, well, thanks. Now I can stop being a trucker. I'd probably lose my desire to be a trucker if not that I am a trucker, but I'd probably lose my desire if I started getting tickets and such. And, the problem solving, the resolution, the common sense, the word of mouthing, the conventional wisdom. Oh, just do this, that, and the third. Just do this, that, and the third. I don't remember asking for solutions. The realm certainly hasn't asked for your solution. But, oh, yeah, just do this, that, and the third. Oh, okay. How's that working out for us? See, that person behaves in the world as if they're intelligent, and they, for some reason, were tailgating me on a wide open 4-lane road, right up the ass of the trailer, and I'm in the fastest of the fast lanes that I'm legal in, because there's some truck up in front of me that keeps slowing down to nothing just for no reason, but that's fine, whatever. And Of course, almost nobody's willing to use the hammer lane, the inside lane, because we associate that with tickets. You can't go into that lane or you'll get tickets, right? That's what people think. I mean, it's not true, but meanwhile, I might be legal in that lane. I'm probably not. So finally, I'm just like, here, let me help you pass me, and then I get into the hammer lane. And they still wouldn't pass me until I finally just put my flashers on, because by then I was going up a hill at 47. But they believe themselves to be intelligent. And they conduct themselves on a daily basis as if they're intelligent. And that's the same people who will say, oh, we'll just do this, that, and the third. And if there was honesty, or if there was, an actual reconciliation, the person who was being word of mouth would say, yeah, but you drive at 2 a.m. up the ass of a big rig that can't go up hills, and then it gets over a lane, and instead of passing it, you just ride beside it at 47 miles an hour. So what could you possibly know about anything? But they believe themselves to be intelligent, so that must be the reality. They feel intelligent, more correctly. They feel like they're smart. They don't feel stupid by driving the way they drive. That doesn't, for some reason, that can't cause them to feel stupid. It should, though. Imagine if everybody, once a week, we had a review of their driving. They had to sit down somewhere and be watched like a highlight reel of their week of driving. The low lights of all the bozo maneuvers they did. A few minutes of shame, right? Well, that might help keep America moving. That might help people understand to stop doing all the dumbassery. But it's far easier for them to feel intelligent because they've been marketed to. And they're marketed to on the basis that they've been authorized to feel a certain type of way about themselves based on the products and services that they purchase. And that's how they're marketed to, see. So never mind that in the realm operates, capitalism is operated based on, the plow horse from Orwell's 1984. You got a small amount of individuals who will just go out here and run themselves ragged to actually get the work done, while everybody else, laughs and feels superior and word of mouth and says it's common sense, while they engage in all sorts of dumbassery. And they know how to play politics, and they know how to make it appear like they have done some share of the work, when not only have they done none of the work in a given week, they've actually done many things that have made the job more difficult for the people who actually do the work. They've made it more difficult. Like the guy who wants to get out of his rig and interact with me while I'm doing the performance of a retard backing into the spot. He's making it more difficult. And then here comes another person pretending to be outraged and indignant. He's making it more difficult. See? Instead of actually helping. Which, here's what would be actual help. Hey man, do you need a spot? No man, I'm all good, but thanks, good looking out. That's what I do. When I see somebody who I might be able to help them, I'm like, hey, would you like me to spot you? And if they say no, I'm like, all right, man, have a good day. I don't just start walking around making hand signals, or God forbid the trucker gets out to look. So now I go talk to him, right? Why would I do that? It doesn't make any sense. Because empathetically, I'm able to put myself in their shoes and realize that, any intervention that any of my own intervention into what they're doing needs to be at the level of, is this helping them or not? Right? Or is this going to make what they're doing more difficult, potentially? Can't be both. One or the other. While everybody pretends like this world is alive and like it's important, and as if this world was capable of love or loving the children. And the fact is, parents prove they don't love their children because this is the world they provide for their children. If parents loved and practiced love towards their children, they would not tolerate the world as it is. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't allow this to happen. Period. It just wouldn't be allowed. Might be time to pull over and get a little rest there, Bubba. I'm going 49 with the flashers on. I'm passing you. So it might be time to get a little rest there, Bubba. I'm trying to do a live stream. And if I do anything other than what I'm doing right now, I'm going to miss my exit that's in 1 mile. And you're in the way there, fella. So might want to keep it between them two white lines that belong to you. That denotes your lane, sir. Or pull your head out of your ass. Oh, there he goes, pulling his head out of his ass. Get with it. Because I don't drive through here very often. I don't know that there's 3 exit lanes. Now my GPS is telling me that the 3 right lanes go on the road I'm going on. I have no way of knowing that. I need to be in the rightmost lane until I have that information. Otherwise, I'm going to miss my exit. It turns out he's not going this way at all. So he was in my way. See? He's treating me like I'm in his way. He's in my way. Something else I'm noticing lately is this epidemic of people riding in the center lane of 3 lanes, and then they wait until they get to their exit, and then they get in the right lane and take the exit. Like, what's that? I'm seeing that all over the place nowadays. Like, what even is that? See, I think maybe I'm going the wrong way right now. Because I'm from Arkansas, and we don't, none of our roads are like this. So I might actually already be going the wrong way. I'm not exactly sure. Hard to say. Is it 395 north or 495? Exit 170B. Okay. 495. I hope. Meanwhile, all these bozos who live here can't figure out how to get around me, and there's not even traffic. It's like, why are y'all all riding behind me? I don't understand. I got my flashers on. And then I'm trying to read the signs, and my trailer drifts into somebody else's lane, and there's a car there. Like, why is there a car there? Aren't they from here? Why are they going my speed beside me? I guess they want to call the injury lawyer. That's really the only thing that explains that. Y'all know why we got way too many lanes is because this thing's designed for when it's busy. It's 2 in the fucking morning. It's 3:18 a.m. We don't have traffic for at least another hour. So pretty pleased with sugar on top. Get the fuck away from me. And half of them interpret the flashers as that's got to mean danger. Actually, it means slow-moving vehicle. And now 100 cars, if the road's opening up and 100 cars are passing me, but there's been lanes for them to pass me the entire time. Why are they all behind me? You know, well, we know the answer because they're not discrete beings with intelligence and brains, and they're all looking at their phones, and that their phone can't tell them what to do to deal with this particular situation. There's no way for them to cope with a 50-year-old from the swamps of Arkansas who's driving in a rainstorm in the darkness and can't really see what's going on for the most part, and he's distracted himself by talking the whole time. And they can't read the situation and understand, oh, okay, that's something else right there. Let's just get away from it. And then why is that? It's actually attractive. Why does that then become attractive? Is also curious. See? And then the realm and the gaslighters and the defenders of the indefensible system will rush in to, make excuses and say, well, this, that, and the third. That's why. It's like, no, it's a world of dumbassery. That's why. But it's sophisticated dumbassery, and it's dressed up to be able to pass itself off as not dumbassery, but it's dumbassery nonetheless. And I'm convinced you could just pluck your random bozo off the street and say, hey, for $100,000, we're going to put you through a series of just, skills testing. We're going to give you some basic tasks to perform, and as long as you can do what's requested, and there's no tricks, it's basic tasks. I'm convinced at least 7 out of 10 of the general public for $100,000 wouldn't be able to do whatever the task. I mean, just basic shit. They wouldn't be able to do it. I'm convinced of it. But those are the same people who will word of mouth and conventional wisdom and common sense me till the cows come home. They'll be in their truck as owner operators and get out and try to tell me, oh, you can pull into this space or whatever, Meanwhile, my brain's already done all this math and I don't even know what I'm doing because it's, Benton is retarded with the trailer part that's backing in over there. Benton's pretty fucking good with this part up here in the front. So it's almost impossible for me to hit anything up here. It's nearly impossible. So it's back there to be concerned about. Meanwhile, if he just said what he meant, hey man, don't hit my truck. Okay, well, I'm not going to, but sure, your concerns are noted. But I'm going to do what I do every day, which is not hit people's trucks. I understand there's truckers out there that hit people's trucks. I ain't one of them. But I'm one of these retards that needs to get out and look at pretty much every time. Needs to. And we got somebody up our ass at 49. What are they doing? What are they doing back there? 49 miles an hour up a trailer's ass in a rainstorm. See what level of consciousness is like, what is that? See, that has a meaning. That means something. See, what does it mean? That means we could probably pluck that person off the street and say, here's $100,000 if you can perform these 3 basic tasks, and they won't be able to. And people make excuses and say, "Oh, well, they're taking the exit." It's like, yeah, that's been for 5 minutes up the trailer's ass, up the ass of the trailer. So, how much time is required to go into the lane directly to the left of the truck, pass it, get in front of it, and then take the exit? But as we know, the primary motivator is to look at the phone. See? And it's difficult to do all of that while looking at the phone. So whatever needs to occur to continue looking at TikTok while they go down the road, whatever they need to do to watch TikTok. So it's a society based on, making rich people richer every new moment into perpetuity, which is the function of the economy, and it never fails to achieve its purpose. But then it's also, what needs to be wherever they go and whatever they do. See, that's also become a primary motivator. While the gaslighting is, well, Benton, everybody's contented and fulfilled and everything's wonderful. You're the one with the problem. It's like, well, okay, if that's true, why are so many people on psych meds? Why are so many people under psychiatric care? Why are so many people in recovery? Why are so many people addicted to drugs? If everything's so wonderful and life is so fulfilling, could you please explain to me why this is? Oh, it's a chemical imbalance. Oh, okay, got it. Makes total sense. Thanks for clearing that up. A chemical imbalance. So then why is Benton able to exist in society? I guess he's just one of the lucky ones who doesn't suffer from the chemical imbalance, I guess. How's that possible? Fortunate son indeed. Now, where can we stop? Is the question. Probably just up ahead. So yeah, I'm just going to make sure I don't accidentally take this exit here. Right. Oh, yeah. Life is but a dream, as they say. Or is that death? I forget. I forget which. Yeah, buddy. And away we go. Yeah, we are exhausted. I can tell you that. The royal we is exhausted. You know, it's funny. I was thinking about that person making that joke and saying, referring to Benton in a live chat of a different channel and saying it's the royal we in the flesh. But it actually, from that perspective, in that context, would be the royal they. Actually, the royal we in that context, from that perspective, doesn't make any sense. Changes the meaning. Doesn't mean actually is nonsensical. Makes it nonsensical. It would, in fact, in order to be correct, it would be the royal they in the flesh. Let's just say 8.5 hours. How much drive time we got left? 9:37. It says 8:24. I'm going quite slow though. What I figured out, because I've never driven this consistently day after day while being this fatigued. And it's interesting because I think the first thought would be, well, how can he do his job safely? Oh, I'm alert. There's no drowsiness. I'm completely alert and attentive. It's, fatigue has very specific, this is specific. It's a very specific thing, right? Certain sensations, certain effects to cognition. I have a lot of experience pushing through fatigue and dealing with fatigue. You got effects to the adrenals, stress hormones, the adrenals. A lot of this, there's a lot of different things going on. And this is part of the mastery when I talk about spiritual warrior genius and all of this. To be able to master all of this. But yeah, I've lost track. I mean, I said I hit the wall, which means to push through that initial wall of exhaustion. That's It's been at least a full week ago. I don't even know. This could be 10 days at this point. Hard to say. I know I was already there when I got paid last time, and I'm already getting emails about this next check coming up. That's at least 7 full days right there. But anyway, I've noticed that one of the most effective ways to deal with it is just go slow as fuck. Just drive fucking slow. We get there when we get there. Because even trying to do this with this limited traffic, so many things keep happening that require me to make little moves that takes, just a little bit of my energy, saps, just a little bit of my energy. Like, oh, somebody's slow merging, but look, it's wide open lanes to my left, except there just happens to be one car perfectly approaching in the lane just to my left, going the perfect speed to where I can't safely make room for the person merging. Oh, well, I guess we'll just slow down even slower. We'll just go even slower than we're already going. Get there when we get there. Oh, well. It's amazing how many of the vehicles around us will adopt the same. They'll just go slow. Oh, that guy's going slow. Hey, maybe we want to go slow. Maybe it turns out we don't want to rush everywhere all the time. Maybe we want to take our time. Maybe he's making it okay. Now it seems okay. That guy's taking his time, so we can take our time. It's like, well, yeah, or you can do that anytime. You need me to take my time for you to take your time. Yeah, but they do, see. Authority. Somebody has to authorize it. They need someone to authorize it, or they can't do it. Because it seems incongruous until it's authorized. And the normie can't normalize something that's incongruous, say, or incongruous. Anyway, it's blueberry time. Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to buy some tape because sometimes they tape shut these blueberry packages and sometimes they don't. And, got $5 worth of organic blueberries, but they're in the cheapest package possible. So half the time, there's very little force required to have the lid pop open and all the blueberries spill onto the floor, I've found. Does not require much for that to happen. And then, even people who claim to have truck driving experience, but most people don't have experience with actual exhaustion because most people can't push themselves far enough. So they hit the wall. They stop before they ever hit the wall. I hit the wall and keep going. So they don't know what I'm talking about. So he's like, hey, talking to the owner of the company, he's like, I need you to do all this. Oh, well, then get some sleep tonight. It's like, and I want to say, well, you realize I sleep every night. What do you think this means when you tell me to get some sleep? It's like, what are you talking about? Get some sleep tonight. Like, I hope you realize that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. That's a non sequitur. Because I'm going to sleep. As it turned out, I got a fantastic night's sleep, but that's not going to resolve the exhaustion. So in their world, exhausted means, okay, well, just get a good night's sleep and you'll be fine tomorrow. Oh, no, sir. It's been perhaps 10 days of exhaustion. If one night's sleep would fix it, it wouldn't be a problem in the first place. No, I don't think you know what's going on here, buddy. Looks like he has a clue. Uh-oh. Spilled a little water on myself. Well, I managed to pick up my Amazon packages yesterday, so that's good. Here we go, 495 East to Bethesda in Baltimore. So what happens with exhaustion is just things start to shut down, right? It's not sleepiness. It's the body turning shit off that doesn't have, it's, it becomes a prioritizing of what needs to happen, you know. So the body knows in driving this big rig, it's not going to shut off the part that's driving the big rig. But, I wasn't sleepy when I finally just hit the complete point of exhaustion, traveling around living out of a backpack years ago, when I was resting behind a shopping center in Santa Barbara County and went offline for like 2 hours, sitting on top of my backpack, and woke up and somebody had left a $20 bill, like just like on my knee or whatever. I was just gone. I was just, for like 2 hours, I was just out. That's not sleepiness. That's fatigue. That's where I'm at right now. We're completely alert, but my body's telling me, hey man, pull over and just rest. That's not sleepiness. I slept, I think 6.5, 7 hours or whatever. Like, we don't need sleep. We need rest. Those are two different things. For some reason, society, it's like it's just this one thing, and society has eliminated rest. I would say it's not a thing anymore. There just is no rest. It's like, oh, we'll get some sleep. It's like, yo, I get sleep every night. And actually, sometimes it's better if I don't get much sleep. One of these recent nights, I got like maybe 3 hours, and any more than that probably would have been detrimental for what I ended up doing the next day. It's like, that's not always the answer either. Some sleep, sure, but why is this idea promoted that, oh well, like a good night's sleep solves anything? Yeah, it really doesn't. If we're aiming for peak performance tomorrow, then yeah, a good night's sleep will help. That will help ensure peak performance. So some of this is based on this just lies of, like the American worker, or, in a lot of ways, I think it's the way that we've been marketed to through advertising and all of this to sell products, is this idea that everybody's this strong, capable, confident, energetic, positive being. So, tomorrow's it's the big sales presentation, right? So, you want to buy this product, so you make sure you get a proper night's sleep to be at your best. Like, no, this is we're talking about dealing with actual real world fatigue here. This has got nothing to do with peak performance. This is a performance question mark. Meaning, are we going to perform, or are we going to pull over and rest? I mean, that's really all that's at play here at this point. And then, of course, the problem solving of, oh, well, do this, do that, do the other. It's like, well, okay, but none of that's going to fix the actual underlying reality of the being must rest for, I would say at this point, a minimum of 48 hours. I mean, 48 hours of just nothing. Like, go get supplies, then just do nothing but lay down and sleep normally. But I'm talking a full 48 fucking hours of just nothing. That would be, maybe enough rest to start to get somewhere near back to normal, maybe. When I originally hit the wall, when I'm talking about, back in the day, I rested for an entire week. And all I did was once every 24 hours, I would go to the store. I would walk to the store to get whatever I needed. And then I laid in my tent for the rest of the 24 hours, and did that 7 times to get back to normal. Until a person has lived that kind of life, they just simply don't know what fatigue and exhaustion are all about. It's to push and push and push until there ain't no more pushing. Right? I didn't choose to go offline, seated on my top of my backpack for 2 hours. It wasn't up to me at that point. The body took over and said, here's what you're going to do. And we're not, it's not optional. It's no longer optional, sir. Rest is no longer optional. Then people might misconstrue this as dangerous because I'm driving. Oh no, you must not have hypervigilance. The hypervigilance won't allow me to continue driving because it will notice the unsafe driving patterns and say, well, sir, clearly you can't safely drive, and then I will have already stopped. See. Now, if I tried to go 60 instead of 49, then probably that would start happening. And I would be like, oh, wow, I'm not able to quite do the thing. So like later today, if I don't catch my second wind, may have an unhappy trucking owner of a trucking company, and I'm just going to be like, hey, I don't know what to tell you, man. If I can't go, I can't go. It is what it is. But I hope you're not suggesting that I, potentially endanger the motoring public, which would then I could go to prison for that. I hope that's not what you're suggesting, that I risk prison for your trucking company, because that is not going to happen. So let's not go down that road, if you don't mind. It's also funny, one of my favorite channels, Tragic Reality, was live. And I like to push back a little bit on Gen Z, because they've believed the hype that just everything was wonderful and life was easy in the 80s and 90s, and it's just simply not. That just simply isn't true. And so I was posting some true things in his live chat about the 80s and the 90s. You don't believe the hype, that shit, because the 80s sucked ass in certain ways. They just did. And so he's just like, well, what do you mean? It's interesting, because about the gaslighting and how people react, and he immediately, basically called me poor in a way. Now, this was after I revealed that. Then he wants to know, okay, well, where are you from? Because it's his own mind is rejecting the idea of nobody had any money. Well, clearly I can't mean nobody had money, but, if the being goes back and reviews the economics of the 80s and 90s, well, you had a stock market crash in 1987, Black Monday. So there's a pretty good starting point. You had 1965 to 1983 is a period of time known by the Federal Reserve as the Great Inflation. You can Google that shit. So when people say, oh, this is unprecedented, the worst inflation of all time, no, it's not. It's not even the worst inflation of my lifetime. What are you talking about? The job market, worst job market ever. 1983 was the worst job market in my lifetime. 1980 was the peak of gasoline prices adjusted for inflation. So, when I say nobody had any money, what I mean is that the consumer society hadn't fully fomented itself. So we were beginning to have all of this advertising and all of these products, but it wasn't a world like today where people they're wondering how to pay their rent, but they also are able to order DoorDash. And there's nothing wrong with them for ordering DoorDash necessarily. It's that shows you how much more money's available today. Because in the olden days of the 80s and the 90s, people paid their rent. I lived in the, what was historically the most impoverished, backwards, low income part of the country. And I never knew anybody that didn't pay their rent, but nobody was buying all this bullshit because the money wasn't there to buy all this bullshit. So yeah, somebody could have a pizza delivered, sure, but you couldn't yet have basically any and all food delivered. A person could have like some CDs or some cassettes. You couldn't have all of recorded musical history on a $10 a month streaming service. Normalizing big rigs going slow around hairpin turns on the interstate. Thank you, Normie, for normalizing this activity in your car. That's helpful. And their license plate says dribble. Okay. Fans of basketball, I suppose? I don't know, maybe. Could be hoping to call the injury lawyer. So yeah, the Sony Discman comes out. Well, you don't have the money to buy it. And now today there's 100 different versions of whatever that product is. So Amazon, yeah, you may not. So most of us, or many of us, can't afford $250 AirPods or whatever they cost. There's $10 wireless earbuds on Amazon right now. Anybody can afford those. I can pick up, if I'm in Los Angeles, I can pick up enough cans and bottles in the next 3 hours to order some $10 wireless earbuds. Like that shit, that simply did not exist. And I don't mean that the wireless earbuds didn't exist. I mean, if you wanted to buy a particular product, especially if it was consumer electronics in the 80s or 90s, you could either afford a brand new basketball or you couldn't. So when my parents bought me a brand new leather basketball, and then because I didn't understand who I was playing basketball with, the first chance they got, someone stole my basketball. And actually everybody stole my basketball. That's kind of a funny story, but then there's just, we don't buy another basketball. That's not in the budget. Meanwhile, my father had a successful small business. But see, this was the mentality. Like, it wasn't about, it's a culture of, yeah, there's a budget for entertainment and it's limited. And once it's exhausted, nobody cares that you want a thing. And, the nagging of the TV advertising. Yeah, the child is in the supermarket and is nagging mommy for an item. Well, that's not in the budget. So it's a no. And so eventually money became so cheap and easy, right? There was no, we'll put it on the charge card. You couldn't get a fucking credit card in 1987 because the country was still coming out of the Great Inflation, and people don't understand economics. When the Federal Reserve cranks the interest rate up to 19% to keep to finally put an end to the runaway inflation, that means you just don't have a credit card. Now, rich people have credit cards. That's fine. I'm saying you're a regular person that works a job don't have a credit card because they can't get a credit card because interest rates are too high and the bank is not going to give anybody a credit card. And anybody who's rich enough for them to give a credit card probably doesn't need it. See? Today's people can't conceptualize any of that. They don't have a capacity to conceptualize that. So Benton has, so back to the tragic reality, well, it has to be that Benton was poor. My father made $250,000 in 1985. Go ahead and bust out your inflation calculator. It was still a culture of nobody had any money, right? And my father, his consciousness existed in a world in which nobody had any money. But if he wanted to go pay $40,000, if he wanted to go write a check for a $40,000 Volvo, that's what he did. Because that's what he chose to do with his money, see? But it wasn't every working person goes out and gets a loan on a new car or a late model used car. That simply did not exist. Probably people saved their money and bought a used Chevrolet or whatever for $1,500, except that's today's version of $7,000, right? Or $8,000. But now people are too good for an $8,000 car, and they can't figure out how to get $8,000, but at a certain point, they were given a credit card with an $8,000 limit on it. Well, in 1987, the person who could save up $1,500 for the car would never be given a credit card with $1,500 spending limit. That's impossible. So they had no choice but to save up the $1,500. And the interest rates, it was an environment of saving, and it was an environment of limited money. When the interest rate's 19%, there's not free, cheap, easy money for everybody. That's what I mean by there was no money. And so tragic reality, why doesn't he understand that? Well, go back and look at what interest rates were in 1978. It was fucking 20% or whatever. The Fed overnight rate or whatever that is, the FRED was 20%. Well, when the FRED is 20%, you can't get a credit card, meaning it ain't available. Meaning if you think you're gonna, and you can't get a car loan. And so the environment is, my father, he never would have gone to the Volvo dealer back then, who happily would have approved him for a monthly payment on a brand new Volvo. That was not even a consideration. But because my parents were frugal and my father liked cars, he wrote them a check for a $40,000 Volvo. So this is speaking to the environment, but because tragic reality, and it's not his fault, because these younger folks aren't allowed to view the 80s and 90s for what they truly were, he can't conceptualize this. It doesn't compute. So Benton had to have been poor, or Benton had to be from a poor part of the country. Yeah, I was from a poor part of the country. What does that have to do with the fact that I'm saying that nobody had any money compared to today? See? So today, people in the poorest part of the country are ordering DoorDash, just like they're doing in the richest part of the country. Back then, people in the richest part of the country, or the least poor part of the country, workers were saving up and paying cash for used Chevrolets. So today, they're getting loans on $60,000 automobiles, or $40,000 automobiles, or a $30,000 Toyota Corolla, or whatever it is, or $25,000 used car. That's not going to be worth anything towards the end of their loan. The last 2 to 3 years on that, making those payments, that car is going to be worth nothing. And by the time they get close to paying it off, depending on what type of vehicle it is, luck of the draw, and how it's been cared for, not going to be serviceable. If it breaks down, it's just, oh, well, it broke down. We don't. Now, maybe the person has enough, maybe they can get a credit card to get the car fixed. Remember, back then, you had to have the money to get the car fixed. It's like, oh, well, what did a mechanic cost in 1986? Well, I know the minimum wage was $3.65 or $3.85 or whatever. So I don't know, maybe it was $100 to fix the car. What does the person make that week? See? What's your weekly wage? Right? It's this idea that, oh, everything was just wonderful and the boomers fucked it all up. Like, what are you talking about? Most of the boomers were working class just like today. The economic environment is what's different. It's the economics. Back then, this idea of living below one's means and saving money made sense because part of that was put the money in the bank and live off the interest. This idea of, oh, win the lottery, live off the interest. You can't. That's no longer possible. That hasn't been possible for 20 years, 30 years. I've heard people say that 20 years ago. Oh, if I won the lottery, I'd just put it in the bank and live off the interest. I said, have you looked at savings accounts lately? There is no 0.25%. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Now, I don't know what it is today. You could probably find something at 5% or whatever. Who knows? Even that's not going to be enough to live on. Even it still won't even outpace inflation. So until the being can actually account for all this in their own mind, it's just, oh, well, yeah, it was just life was easy and wonderful in the 80s and the 90s. It wasn't. I was there. There was lots of problems. There was lots of problems in the 70s. There was lots of problems in the 60s. There was lots of problems in the 50s. Are you seeing a theme here? There hasn't been a decade going back to starting with the post-war period. There hasn't been a decade without a bunch of problems. So that leads me to believe there's not going to be a decade without a bunch of problems. Now, has there been certain periods of time when certain things were a little more doable? Right? Like right now, if I want to, if I'm into computers and technology, hey, no better time. Shit is cheap as fuck. It's been the golden age of affordable consumer electronics for quite some time. May never end. Or seems like it's never going to end. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, $10 wireless earbuds. If you take $10 today and convert it into 1987 money, there was nothing you could buy and listen to. Nothing. $10 in today's money would buy you absolutely not one thing you could listen to. You couldn't get a portable transistor radio used in 1987 for whatever $10 in today's money would have been in 1987. Somebody would be more likely to just give you a transistor radio. You couldn't go to a yard sale and buy a transistor radio for $10 in today's money in 1987. And people can't conceptualize that. Because how much was today's $10 in 1987? It was like $3.50. Like, what are you talking about? A transistor radio was $20 back then, probably. Why the hell would if you're at my yard sale, why the hell would I sell it to you for $3? That doesn't even make sense. I'll just give it to my kid. If I haven't already. Like, are you crazy? This thing has a value. We're not, and it's still a Depression era mindset to some extent. Why would we, like, what are you talking about? Whatever basketball of mine got stolen, I bet it was $15. $50. That's $40 to $50 in today's money. Well, money was treated like it had a value back then, because remember, if everybody talks about, oh, well, Nixon took us off the gold standard. Okay, then in 1987, it was still fairly, when was that, 77? 71, whenever that was. I'm going from memory. It wasn't that far removed. So people still viewed $50 as a lot of money, meaning, hey, buddy, we proved to you that we love you on some level. We broke off half 100 and bought you a basketball, and you let it get stolen. So I don't know what you're going to do, but we're not buying you another basketball anytime soon. I guess you better find you a half-ass rubber ball somewhere and figure out how to patch it up and put some air in it. I don't know what to tell you. Meanwhile, we hypothetically could have afforded it. That wasn't the point. The point wasn't, because it wasn't consumer society yet to the point of, oh, the money's in the bank, my kid's basketball got stolen, and, you know, my little baby's going to have everything they want. Bullshit. And that had nothing to do with what part of the country I lived in. That had nothing to do with overriding culture. It was where I'm from is probably a little more that way than maybe some other places. So what? Apricots. Traffic's going to start. It's just the start of the traffic. It's 4:12 in the morning. Yeah, probably about to start. Probably. Certainly by 5. So when it's the all these new products are coming out in the 80s and the 90s, yeah, that's great, but you don't get to participate except in a limited form. Now, imagine telling one of these young people of today that they don't get to participate in what's going on. I don't think they would be able to. They wouldn't be able to process that. So it, you know, in my youth, it was this idea of, you know, if I didn't discipline my spending, then I wouldn't be able to pay my rent. But there's money in the budget to pay the rent. Nowadays, there's no money in the budget to pay the rent, so you might as well buy a bunch of things. And that's become the way of the country anyway. Because to not buy all of the things, the person still can't pay their bills anyway. So might as well spend all the money. Might as well consume. Meanwhile, it's just a given that an American is a consumer. See, that wasn't necessarily the case back then. It wasn't, oh, we have the money, so we buy the things. The culture hadn't become that way yet. And I'm not saying it was better. I'm saying it was different. So today's people would view that as that shit sucks. So I remember I wanted a bunch of cool electronics, and there was no way to get them. They existed, and they were not accessible. So let's say, hypothetically, the adults or the people around me identified, oh, well, maybe this kid has an interest in and a future in computers. A full, complete computer setup back in those days, in today's money, was $20,000. It was it was a new car. It costs the same as a new car. When you look at all those Tandy an advertisement for a Tandy computer, and if you add up the price of everything, if you're going to get everything with all of it, the full setup, that's as much as a nice brand new car costs back then. It was the same price. So when you see Tandy computer, $1,699, and that's just one part of it. There's also the printer and you might have an external hard drive or just whatever that was, or a tape, a tape backup, just whatever the fuck. I don't even remember how it was set up back then, because I never got anywhere near one back then. Never got near one. It existed. Couldn't access it. If I went in the store and they happen to have one on display, the chances of them letting a child anywhere near it was very, very low. So when I say that shit sucked, can today's 20-something conceptualize a world in which if they were 9 years old, if they had an interest in computers, if they managed to physically be in a store that had a computer set up on display for sale, that there's a very low chance that a 9-year-old or 10-year-old child would have been permitted to physically go any fucking where near it. So yeah, I was allowed to go near a Commodore 64, which was relatively affordable. So surprise, surprise, Sears had them on display, and I got to go in there and show off that I knew how to type, fucking 20 go to 10 or whatever, whatever fucking bullshit basic program I had memorized at the age of 9 or whatever. But nobody was spending $20,000. See what I'm saying? That's what I mean by nobody had any money. Meanwhile, hypothetically, my father had $20,000. There's no culture in which he ever was free to spend today's equivalent of $20,000. Meanwhile, somebody who could spend $20,000 on their kid and not be able to afford it and just charge it, and society will say, well, that's your kid, you love your kid, and that's completely fine. Society was not willing to sign off on that in 1987. Sorry. No fucking way. So even my father, who could justify on some level, well, he's successful, right? it never would have even occurred to me to ask for a computer, because that just simply wasn't possible. That would have been like, we didn't have the lottery, but that would have been like, oh, we're like lifestyle. I knew we weren't lifestyles of the rich and famous. Like that's literal fucking, that would have been Robin Leach lifestyles of the rich and famous territory. Like for real, Richie motherfucking Rich. That's who would have had a Tandy computer back then. Richie Rich from the comic book would have had a Tandy computer. It's like that robot in Rocky 2 or Rocky 3. I think it was Rocky 2. Or whenever Rocky got rich from winning the championship. And, he had his car. To even show in a movie to normies back then what is wealth, he had that robot. Because I'm sure there was a computer somewhere, but, your average person wouldn't have even been able to really understand what the computer would have symbolized. I don't think it was just too foreign. So at least we could understand, okay, well, a person would have to be very wealthy to have there's really not even robots effectively. So, movies, made it look like there's a robot. And then, so Rocky's so rich, he's bought this robot for what we would have assumed was about $20,000 in, maybe $50,000 in 1987 money. Would have been a lot. 10, well, I don't know, 10, maybe 10,000. It's hard to say. So this is what I mean is, people simply cannot conceptualize these things. They don't have their brains can't do it. Their brains can't do these calculations. And when I tell them, hey, I have $10 wireless earbuds, and if you take $10 and convert it into 1987 money, in 1987, $10 in today's money will buy you absolutely nothing you could listen to. 8 tracks were on the way out. You could probably get some 8 tracks. You could maybe get an 8-track player and somebody's old, basically bullshit. Here, give me $3, and I was probably going to throw this shit out anyway. And again, they'd probably be just like this. Here, take it. I don't want it. Get it out of here. Take it. Tracks. By the time I come upon them, you could tell, yeah, people still listen to them here and there. They're so shitty. Sounded so fucking horrible. It's basically like, yeah, there they are. If you want them, have at it. Go for it. So yeah, there's just people, they can't relate. I was there. I remember. My brain does the math. You don't have to believe me. Do your own research. But yeah, let's keep pretending like it was just this wonderful fucking golden age. It wasn't. Some of the problems of today weren't quite the problem back then. So what? Somebody trying to get run over. Probably going to succeed. Must be drunk. Just in the road. Stopped in the road. Where's my watermelon? There it is. New York. I don't think we're going there. I mean, we kind of are, but not the city. That's what that means. It don't mean state. Oh yeah, watermelon. This watermelon's about dead, unfortunately. I bought two of them at the same time. The first one was pretty good. This one's already not so good. Oh well. Meanwhile, none of us can go live in 1987. We're too used to whatever this is. We can't do that. We can't go live in 1987. We're too used to this. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to eat the rest of this watermelon. No bueno. Where's my water? How rude. How rude. Well, I guess that's enough out of me. Bye.